Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Knoll. No, it isn't. It's Madi. Whatever. This is a match that I have decided to produce as one of the prizes that I got for entering into that bracket earlier this year and last year. So I got to pick who faces off in this match, and I got to write all the questions. So this is going to be a gong show already. We're 30 seconds in. I'm going to get right into it. I'm not going to try and waste a lot of time. The first person I'm introducing is going to be someone with a record of 1-0, with the one win being a knockout, John Maher. John,
But D,
how's
how
it
you
going,
doing?
man?
It's going pretty good. Feeling good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, you've only had one match so far, but it was a knockout. So how are you feeling coming into this one against your opponent?
I feel good. Like the questions were good. Even there was one question like I had no experience whatsoever. Like had no business answering the question, but it gave me a good time to research it. So I think my research is solid. I think I got all my reams of notes here, so I'm ready to toss it out there and see what I can do with it. I think everything looks pretty solid. I think I'm going to build a good case.
All right. I have one more question. Are you leaning over an entire table to be on camera right now, or is that just the camera angle that it looks like you're kind of all
I'm
the way
like
forward?
I'm on my elbows. Like there's a table here, but this is I'm just comfortable sitting like this.
I'll fuck with
Yeah.
you. All right, cool, man. Well, we talked to John. We're gonna bring out his opponent. If you guys can read the thing on the top or the bottom, wherever you're watching this, you already know who it is. It is Austin Pez Howell with a record of 2-2. Austin, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you, Medea. It looks like you finally admire somebody as good as I am to put me in this matchup. I am flattered, so you do have my respect in that aspect. I very much enjoyed the questions you wrote. They are some nice, unique questions that I've never really tackled before, so I certainly appreciate that. And yeah, I'm ready to kick John Maher's ass tonight.
I feel like I couldn't have asked you anything else, but you are coming in 2-2, so you are at the 50-50 mark. This one is a little bit more pressure on you just because you've got a little bit more experience in here, in the battleground, but you've also got those two losses. So does that change anything in your mindset when you're coming into this,
No,
or is it
because what those two losses did is it put me on the revenge tour, Mati, and that's what I'm doing right now. I won my last match against Jacob West, defeated him, and in my revenge tour tonight, I don't have anything personally against John Maher, but he did knock out my friend Richie Goodacre, so I'm ready to take some revenge for him tonight. He's my good friend over on the Movie Hero Network, and I'm just ready to do what I do best, and that's do battle here in the battleground. Excuse me. John's a good guy when it comes to trivia, but he don't know battleground. This is my league.
fair enough, man? I'm not going to let anything else stop you guys. We are now going to go into the rules of the match. Gentlemen, you guys have both been here before, but for the viewers at home who are not experienced with this, we are going to go over the rules. So, Movie Battlegrounds is the best of five. First player to win 3 points wins the match. Each round is worth 1 point. If you get 3 points in a row, you win by knockout. If you have a tie after the first 4 rounds, we go to round five, which is a blind round. So the first four questions you guys have already had time to prepare. I think you guys have had about 2 weeks. If we get to the blind round, we get there, and then you guys find out what it is. In terms of timing, stage each round has 4 stages. Stage one is the 60-second opening, followed by the 2-minute solo pitch. Then we get into the 4-minute open debate, followed by the 60-second closing. After that, it's not just me on this panel. We got a couple of judges here, a few judges actually. All of them are going to help deliberate and decide who the winner is. Each round, you get one winner who gets that 1 point, which helps you get closer to that end goal of winning the whole match. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Let's go.
Perfect. We are going to start off with question number one. And for this question, we're going to start with a horror franchise because someone picked it as a strength, I think. I don't know. Question number one comes from the franchise of Friday the 13th, which is a long and sometimes dull franchise, if I'm being honest. And the question is, what is the best kill in the Friday the 13th franchise? Now, there's been like 30 of these movies at this point, and you have to narrow down one kill each. So, gentlemen, we're going to go first to Austin. Austin, what is your pick for the best kill in the Friday the 13th franchise? 60 seconds
So
and you start
yes,
talking.
Amongst the many hundreds of kills that Jason Voorhees has accumulated, as well as his mother in the Friday the 13th franchise, I went with a kill for one of my personal favorite entries in the series. That's Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, particularly the death of poor Judy in the sleeping bag. It is a sleeping bag kill from Part 7. The basic setup is that Judy is alone in her sleeping bag. Not necessarily alone. Jason has already killed her counterpart. She is waiting for him to return. And instead of him returning, it is Jason Voorhees, played by the brilliant Kane Hodder in his first entry in the series. And basically, he wraps her up in the sleeping bag that she's already in, slams her up against a tree in a very brutal fashion, and dispatches of her immediately. So it's a great kill that I will elaborate on in just a few moments in my 2 minutes.
I just realized I was muted that whole time. John, we're going to go to you next for the Friday the 13th best kill. Your timer will start when you start talking.
I think when we talk about all the kills in the Friday the 13th franchise, it's important to know the history of the franchise as a whole. So, after Part 6, there were a lot of course corrections in the series. Obviously, with The New Blood, John Carl Buechler came in. He wanted to do all these huge over-the-top kills. And with my pick is from Jason That Takes Manhattan. Rob Hedden came in and wanted to do more of a course correction, wanted to get back to basics, wanted to get back to formula, wanted to have more stalking, confrontation, killing. So the pick I'm taking is Julius Gau's death from Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. It's probably the best way we're going to see the actual formulaic killing in the Friday the 13th franchise. You have a character that he confronts Jason early on in the movie. He's left for dead. He gets revived. He's attacked again. There's a chase sequence. There's an actual fight sequence, which up until that point had not been done before in the Friday the 13th franchise. I'm sure there's been some scuffles. This is an actual full-on fight, and it's coupled with some really great effects. And honestly, Hedden corrects a lot of the mistakes that John Carl Buechler made in The New Blood, and I will expand on exactly the dichotomy between those two directors and why this kill is superior in my 2 minutes.
All right, you guys both said you're going to talk more in the 2 minutes. Well, guess what? The 2 minutes starts now. Austin, we're going to go back to you. So your 2 minutes starts first, and then John, you'll be coming up right after him.
It's funny that John talks about going back to basics, because mine is back to basics. It is Jason in his element in the woods, hunting teens, doing very naughty things, which is what she has done. She's just had sexual intercourse, and it's time to be punished. One of the unique things about my kill is that we all, I think, at least when we were kids, and even growing up, had a claustrophobic fear of being stuck inside a sleeping bag, which is one of the cool things about this, is that they take advantage of not only that, of Judy getting caught inside the sleeping bag, but then being dragged literally to her death. The anticipation and knowing the inevitable of what's coming is one of the things that makes mine so terrifying and so brutal. It is Jason brutalizing women, which is what he almost does best in the series. The difference being the man that John talks about, that he literally fights back, so it's not as, it doesn't feel as terrifying. And the way Kane Hodder sets it up, of his methodical nature, just the way he moves, the hulking nature of his body, and the way he picks her up and slams her up against this tree, killing her instantly. Now, although there was an original version that was cut down by the MPAA because it was so brutal, because it was so violent, because it was so bloody, that the MPAA had to cut it down. And even with those cuts, and you can see the original one on YouTube, the original one is just as brutal as the one that is in the theatrical cut. And in fact, the theatrical cut, I would argue, is even more effective, because it's just the one-hit kill, the blunt force trauma of it all. So it's the anticipation of it. It's the pure raw power. There's just something terrifying about, again, that whole situation and being caught there. The thing with Julius is it's a very gimmicky kill. It's one that's catered to the character itself. So it's more almost like a parody of a kill, honestly. Whereas mine was rendered iconic even when they redid and paid homage to it in Jason X in the hologram sequence, where he is tearing up the holograms in a sleeping bag as well. So it lives on even to this day.
And that's the 2 minutes for Austin. We're going to go to John for his 2 minutes. Time starts when you start talking.
Let's go through a little Friday the 13th history. So we're coming off Jason Lives, which to that point was probably the best entry in the series. Only really netted 19 million at the box office. New Line Cinema comes back with Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, and it rakes in over $40 million at the box office. So now Paramount's pissed. They want to do something. They actually tried to negotiate Freddy vs. Jason in 1988, but negotiations with New Line Cinema fell through, and Mancuso was pissed. So he brings in John Carl Buechler, and he's like, we want over-the-top kills. And John Carl Buechler had directing experience. He had a ton of effects experience, and he goes whole hog. Unfortunately, he flies too close to the sun. 10 out of the 16 kills in this movie have to be re-edited. That goes back and forth to the MPAA 7 times, came back with an X rating 6 times because of the bloodlust in this movie. Now, Pez mentioned the original theatrical cut. I would recommend you see that because that is actually, you can see all the man hours that were wasted with this kill. We're just from a production standpoint, it's absolute nightmare. Kane Hodder sat there with a sleeping bag full of like blood bags, and it's just a bloody soaked mess. I would agree that if you could find that the original director's footage, it's absolutely fantastic. Basically, he's misremembering the kill. It is so short. These are throwaway characters that are on screen for like less than 2 minutes. He dispatches both of them so quickly. The actual dragging and smacking against the tree is maybe 30 seconds. It's more brutal than you remember it. You amplify it in your mind. It is not as much as Pez is saying it is. And they did not just have sex. She's anticipating her boyfriend to come back and have sex with her. On the other hand, we get and then poor Barry Zetlin, the editor of this film, that had to go through all that work, all those man hours wasted. We go into Julius Gau's death. This is a character that is left for dead. Jason throws him off the ship. He's miraculously alive. He's one of the 6 survivors that makes it to the city. He's in the phone booth. Jason stalks him again. There's a chase sequence up to the roof. They're fighting. Sure, it's a parody. There's plenty of parody kills throughout the entire series, but he lands 72 punches on Jason. It's an actual scene. It's not just a throwaway kill. It actually affects things that happen in the movie. This is a major character, not some killing padding like 2 people he kills in the tent. And it actually affects other kills that happen later in the movie because they put the head in the car, and that leads to the death of the Irish cop later in the movie. I'm talking about an actual plot point. Pez is talking about throwaway kill.
And time. All right, so we're going to go into the best part of the round, which is the open debate round. You guys will have 4 minutes. Please try not to talk over each other. I know you guys are going to get passionate about this, but do your best. So 4 minutes open debate time as soon as one of you starts talking.
I love how you're talking about plot points when the question is not about the best plot points of the series or the best things leading up to the plot points of the series. It's the best kill of the series, which mine is the best kill. And you put over my kill in your what you called a retort, and you were saying how brutal it was. Yes, it was brutal, and that's why the MPAA had to cut it down.
I didn't say it was brutal. I said you're imagining it. You're remembering it being more brutal than it actually was. It is quick. It is a one-shot kill. And actually, yes, a kill can have effect in the entire movie. We're talking about the death of a major character in my movie. We're talking about a kill in your movie that if you removed it from the movie itself, it would have no effect in the movie. These are characters that they're like the hitchhiker in part 4. They're like the couple having a picnic in part 6. These are just padding kills added because of all the cuts that they have.
Those are the point of the Friday the 13th series. Is you have body counts. That's the point. Body count. I digress.
There's plenty of movies. Part 1, part 2. All of those characters actually are characters in the movie. In the remake, they're all characters in the movie. There's no real throwaway kills. This is a padding kill. These are characters. I'm surprised you remembered her name.
I did remember her name because it's a very memorable kill. That's why I remember her name. I remember the kill.
She is not memorable. That is a 90-second, maybe tops clip. The Julia scene.
Yours goes on too long.
It's a character that has an arc. It's a character we see get formulated early in the movie. We see him box. We see him. He's established with skill. VC Dupree does a great job. He gets that very memorable line, "Give it your best shot, motherfucker." Like, what does she say? "I'm ready, big boy." They did not have sex. She was waiting for the guy to come back.
Ready, yeah. Yours has a lot of nice, memorable lines and maybe a nice, memorable character. Mine's the best kill. Again, we're talking about the best kill. He stands there and punches him a whole bunch of times, and then the actual kill, what I'm talking about, is just as short as mine. So your point is kind of negated in that because it's not even a fight scene. It's just him throwing punches for way too long, about 2.5 minutes on a bland setting in a bland movie.
Kane Hodder, like you said, Kane Hodder is a total moose. Kane Hodder's an ox. Kane Hodder sells the hell out of that scene. And actually, it's one of the few times you think, damn it, this guy actually going to knock Jason off the ledge. Jason gets backed up all the way to the edge of the building. One more shot's going to take him over. He's exhausted. So much happens in that 4 minutes. You might say it's boring. It's actually a pretty enthralling scene.
No, and I'm saying it goes on too long when most of the kills in the Friday the 13th franchise, you knock that, but most of the kills in the franchise are 30 seconds to a minute long. So you're criticizing it for that when that's what they are. That's what the series is going for. Jason coming out of nowhere and doing something.
Jason is supposed to stalk, confront, and kill.
There is a POV of him stalking the tent and stalking Judy as he's coming up.
He literally walks past the tent. It's not stalking. He walks up the tent.
Absolutely stalking. You are misremembering the scene now.
I'm not
listening to the scene. Yes,
the scene is short. It has no bearing on the movie at all. It can be cut out of the movie. The movie would be exactly the same. My kill not only affects.
You could cut out of yours and it'd be exactly the same too. Because
it would not. The head would not.
No,
the head would not be in the police car. He would not kill. He would not kill the cop. Jason takes the head. He puts it in the police car. Also, there's great practical effects in mind. They got the
practical effects.
To put
you
the
got
camera
a little dummy head. It's a literal dummy head. It looks terrible. There's no blood. There's no gore.
The POV shot of it rolling off the roof and landing it. That was actually done. They went to Toronto. They got the Nerf ball. They put the camera in the Nerf ball. They got a great shot. Also, the shot of the head landing in the dumpster. That's like a dude perfect level trick shot.
In a very bland setting on a no-name roof when it's supposed to be Jason Takes Manhattan. If they had done the original idea of the kill, which was supposed to be him in Madison Square Garden standing there in the middle of a rain boxing Julius, it would make it more memorable. But instead, it's just another rooftop that could take place in any city, anywhere. It's not even conducive to the title of the movie.
Yeah, we're not talking about whether or not Jason Takes Manhattan delivers on Jason Takes Manhattan. I think that's fairly well established.
Funny, you mentioned all the plot lines, but that we're talking about the kills, but then you started
talking about how the kill. I'm talking about how the kill affects the plot. Not how
you talked about how like memorable it was. I'm talking about how bland and unmemorable it is because of how bland the actual setting is and the characters are.
Everybody remembers that as being the best kill from Jason Takes Manhattan. Kane Hodder mentions it as his favorite kill to film in Jason Takes Manhattan. I think you're misremembering.
Kane Hodder,
and we have a huge portion of the movie. Yours is 90 seconds. It's 90 seconds.
Kane Hodder says my kill is his favorite kill of the entire franchise, not just that movie.
And time. All right, so we kind of knew it was going to get heated, but this was fun. I'm enjoying this. We do have someone who's going to try and fact check this as best as they can, but we'll see how that goes. But first, we're going to go into our closing arguments, gentlemen. So it's going to be 60 seconds, starting with Austin. So you have 60 seconds for your closing, and then right after that, we'll go back to John.
A great Friday the 13th kill is exactly what I'm talking about. It's Jason doing what he does best, working through his way through the woods, killing teenagers. That's what he does. When you put him in a different setting, a bland setting on top of a roof when he's doing a mindless chase with a character and then just stands there while a guy's defending himself, it's a scene that goes on way too long. It's unnecessary. Jason at any point could take him out. You're just sitting there waiting for the actual kill. It's waiting, but you're waiting too long to where you're kind of, putting your hand on your chin, wondering when he's just going to do it. And when he actually does it, it's like 2 seconds and the head's in the dumpster. It's ridiculous. Mine has an anticipation, it has a buildup. Just because he's not stalking her for 5 minutes doesn't mean that it's not terrifying when he grabs her up, wraps her up into a claustrophobic sleeping bag, slowly drags her over to the tree, and then brutally kills her with either 1 shot or 6, depending on which cut you watch. That is much more brutal. He's doing it to a woman. He's not doing it to somebody that's defending himself, where there's not that much tension in somebody defending themselves. There's much more brutality in him doing a woman doing what he does best right there in his element.
All right, John, we're going to go to you. Close out this argument. 60 seconds when you start talking.
The brutality, if anything, is equal. We're talking about 2 one-shot kills, and mine is absolutely better. We are talking about kills, but kills should be part of the plot. They should drive the plot forward. The kill that Pez is talking about literally doesn't matter. These are padding kills. Julius's kill affects plot points later on in the movie. His head is used as a diversion to kill another character. It's very important. Not only is the fight scene unprecedented in Friday the 13th, we broke new ground with his kill. He's killed women before. He's blunt force killed women before. He never punched anybody's head off. He never engaged in a fight. This is novelty. We come to Friday the 13th movies for novelty, and this delivered novelty. It actually did build suspense. The fight is the suspense itself. He slowly backs Jason up to the edge of the roof. Is he going to win? I don't know. The effects are great. This required no takebacks from the MPAA. Rob hadn't delivered on the first try. John Carl Buechler and Zetlin had to go back to the well 7 times to get this thing right and cut it down to 90 seconds. We were robbed. This is a reduced kill.
Time. All right, gentlemen. That was about as heated as it was going to get. So I'm going to send you guys to the back, or rather someone's going to do it for me, and I'm going to bring out the judges. Look at that. 3 judges. So I'm going to give you guys about 2 seconds to finalize your thoughts here, because that was one heck of a match. But we're going to start with the man on my right or left. I don't know how this thing works. Jacob. Jacob, in short amount of time as you can, who gets the point and why?
Did I have to go first?
Blame the producers, man. Putting you in the corner.
Yeah,
I can ramble for a minute if you need.
No, it's okay. I think I'm going to go with Austin on this one. I think John just focused on too much of the lead up to the kill and not the kill itself. when the question was about the kill specifically. But man, this is close. It's like 50.1 to 49.9. Like, that was a great debate. Like, oh.
All right. Well, we're going to Austin for one judge. We're going to go down to his name is Belt Boy, apparently, but I'm going to call him Henry because his mama called him Henry. I'm going to call him Henry. Henry, who's getting your point?
She didn't call me at all because she left. But so I'm judging this full scale. I want to go with how they build up their points as well as how they knock down their opponents. And this was close. I think John's closing really got me because Pez was able to knock him down real hardcore of why, what Jacob said is about all the surrounding stuff. That's not the kill itself. But in his closing, John was able to give enough specifics of why not only did that kill solidify itself as a good kill, but it also had a bigger impact in the movie. So it's real close, but I was able to edge out John just a little bit more for his pros towards it at the end. So John, by the slimmest of margins, that one was brutal.
We're going to trust your math on the board, and hopefully you counted right. Someone might be able to go back and check, but we'll see. And then that's tie from the judges. We're going to go down below me. In the upside down, apparently, is Vecna. I'm going with you, man. What do you got?
For both the competitors and for the people at home, this is the first time I've watched either of these scenes, and during the 1 minute openings, I promise I listened to you judges, not judges, but competitors. I muted the scenes in YouTube and I watched both of your kills. The moment that in Jason Takes Manhattan, in the moment versus Jason versus Julius, where Julius starts walking across that roof up to where his head gets punched off, it's about 1 minute and 50 seconds. While the whole scene is like 1 minute and 58 with like his head going into the garbage bin. It is a garbage bin. It's not a car. And Jason just standing over. And then Judy's death scene, the entire thing is about 1 minute long, but whenever Jason opens up the tent with the knife, that's about 30 seconds long from that until she gets like killed, basically. Anyway, useless information for you guys. I
don't know if that changes anyone's decision.
The stalking that he does is literally just walking past the tent opening. Yeah. But that being said, I'm going to have to give my point to John just because I'm going to echo a lot of things that wow, I am blanking on names. I'm so sorry, Henry. There we go, Henry. I'm sorry, man. It's been a long day. I'm tired. I worked. It's hot outside here in Florida. I'm going with John just because it was really close. Like both of them said, it was really close. I was flip-flopping. Like during Austin's last minute argument, I was thank you. I was going with Austin, but then John came in with his last minute and with the things that he said in that one, but also the fact that he said the Judy death scene was a lot more gruesome and just it got ruined and everything like that. That was a big point for me, but also just that, again, like Henry said, it's a main plot point to the movie. So I went with John.
Perfect. So that gives the first round to John. So thank you, judges. I'll call you back at the end of round 2. And I'll bring back John and Austin. We're going to go on to question 2. So shake it off, get the passion out, and now we're going on to
we ain't going to slow down. You guys buckle up. We ain't done yet.
Here we go. Thor Love and Thunder is around the corner, and the new Thor, or the mighty Thor, rather, is going to be played by Natalie Portman. For those of you guys who haven't read the comics, you kind of saw it coming, but whatever. So this question is going to be about Natalie Portman's performances. However, this one is going to be what is the worst performance that Natalie Portman's ever given. I'm sure this is going to be a great one to debate too. So we started with John in the first one. We're going to go to Austin to start for this. Wait.
No, I started John.
We're starting with John on this one. I don't have notes. So John, 60 seconds.
right, just so you guys know, these are some throwaway points. Natalie Portman and I actually born on the same day, 2 years apart. We both have the same major in college, so I kind of feel a personal connection to Natalie Portman. And she's a great actress, an Oscar-winning actress. I think you can go through her entire career from Leon all the way through what she's doing in the MCU. I don't think she actually has any bad performances. It's very kind of unfair to do it, but I asked myself the question, has there been a movie like where the production and the direction are so bad that it actually sabotages Natalie Portman to the point that she gives a weird performance that's off-putting? And yeah, that movie is Planetarium. Rebecca Zlotowski, she had some experience. She won some awards at Cannes. She didn't win the Palme d'Or. She won a few awards at Cannes, and then her third movie is this movie Planetarium. I'd say it's like a total mess. Like Natalie Portman is supposed to be playing this character, an American character that has actual things that are established early in the movie, but kind of like a third of the way through the movie, it kind of dissolves, and the character kind of just becomes Natalie Portman, and she plays everything really strange. And I have to expand on this a lot. It's a very confusing movie. But just take my word for it. More explanations come.
And time. If that movie is confusing, I'm sure that this argument is going to be so much fun to get into. Austin, we're going to go to you next. What is your pick for Natalie Portman's worst performance?
Yeah, one for me came immediately to mind when thinking of Natalie Portman. I agree with John. I think overall she's a very good actress, but sometimes she has either phoned it in or doesn't know what she's doing, or just gives kind of a bland performance and doesn't try to expand on the character in mind. It's not just one character. It's technically kind of two characters. It's episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So Star Wars, she plays sort of a dual role of both Queen Amidala and Padme. Obviously, it's the same person, but there's a weird thing with the decoy and Keira Knightley and the whole thing, but she's sometimes playing the queen and sometimes she's playing this handmaiden Padme. But the whole thing is, the reason I picked that is because she's bland in both roles and both situations. So, and that's the reason it's a 2-for-1. So Portman was 17 years old, but she was coming off of a great performance in Leon the Professional under the direction of Luc Besson. And then she went on even before this movie to work with Woody Allen and Ted Demme and Tim Burton. And she was on her way to being a great actress. And I think this one actually stifled her career. It was so bad because there were other people that come out unscathed, and I'll expand on that in just a second.
Who knew the prequels could hurt someone's career? I never knew that could happen.
It's funny. When John mutes it, I think my internet's cutting out, so I actually am not. John's muting himself, and I'm just making sure I'm still online.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay,
don't worry.
okay. I got you.
All right, so we have their answers. It's Planetarium versus The Phantom Menace, which I'm sure everyone wants to hear at home who's going to win this. So we're going to go back to you, John, for your 2 minutes. Time starts whenever you start talking.
Let's talk about the Phantom Menace for a second. For starters, really, how much is Natalie Portman really even in this movie at all? It's the first in a series. Obviously, they're going to introduce a ton of characters. She has some lines, but honestly, half the lines that are kind of attributed to her are attributed to Keira Knightley, because the first whole bunch of the scenes when the Queen's there, it's not her talking. And yes, the Queen delivers monotonic, stoic voices, but actually that's a plot device that is actually pulled off pretty well by the actresses, because it's actually the security measure the Queen uses to fool people into thinking, is she the Queen, is she the handmaiden? So I'm going to toss those lines out. That's exactly as it is written. That's not her fault at all. Also, the Phantom Menace, a couple of things. One, like I said, a ton of characters. Hardly anybody gets any screen time besides maybe Qui-Gon Jinn. Then you have people doing acting with CGI characters, so that's going to be awkward in post. A lot of that really isn't the actor's fault at all. It's kind of the advent of CGI. And for the third thing, like, how can this movie has Jar Jar Banks in it? I mean, you should be rolling your eyes so hard every time this guy's on screen. It's really hard to really pay attention to anything else. He's an abomination, and really, I think it colors all the other performances. They're actually passable. Planetarium, however, let's just get into this. Okay, so it's a movie about two sisters. The one sister actually turns out to be clairvoyant and can actually get spirits when they have the seance. And Natalie Portman is the sister who's like the mouthpiece, because Johnny Depp's daughter, it has the talent, but isn't a good speaker. Then they get in league with this like French producer who's like creepy, and he's turned on by the seances, and he's like, I got to get this on video. Let me get a director in here. So the director comes in and he's like, oh, wow, we don't see any ghosts, but that girl is beautiful. I want that girl, Natalie Portman's character, Laura, I want her to be an actress. Now, all of a sudden, this movie goes off the rails. It was already off the rails, but it goes totally off the rails, because now you have a girl who is an American, doesn't speak any French, is not an actress. Literally in the next scene, she's speaking fluent French. She's acting. There's a romance. It never develops. Her sister dies of cancer. There's no sorrow. There's a whole not Jews being persecuted in pre-Nazi Germany thing. She doesn't react to anything. She's so busy being like this French savant that the character gets lost.
And time. There's a lot to go into in that one. But I'm gonna leave that for the fact checkers to deal with at the end of the whole round. So we're gonna go to the Austin's 2 minutes next. Austin, time starts whenever you start talking, man.
Yeah, it's a weird movie, John, and yeah, thank you very much for making me watch it. I appreciate that. Anyways, yeah, Phantom Menace. Getting back to that for just a second. The problem with the movie is you bring up like the green screen and all the awkwardness of that. It's funny though because Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor give two of their best performances they've ever given in this movie and throughout the whole series, and they come out relatively unscathed with the same direction, the same script, and the same green screen, and they do just fine. Ian McDermott just fine. Ahmed Best, who's doing Jar Jar Binks, you may not like the character, but he's doing exactly as he's told, and he's putting 100% into his character and doing exactly what he was told to do and what he does. And unfortunately, Portman, when it comes down to that, she's the one that stands out because despite all that, she's still giving a bland performance. She's not giving us any reason to like her. She's not giving us any insights into her actual character personality. She's not giving us any facial expressions. And I understand you say the Queen Amidala thing is one thing, but like the problem is it's coma inducing. It's so bland and so stale that like it puts you to sleep. It literally put me to sleep the first time I saw this movie in the theater. Just the droning and on. I understand it's a security measure and a plot thing, but it doesn't mean it's not a bad performance. And when she breaks out of that, when she's Padme interacting with Jake Lloyd, interacting with Boss Nass later, it's a very dry, just uninteresting performance. So much so that Jake Lloyd outacts her in the scene and people complain about Jake Lloyd in that movie. The scene where she's in front of Boss Nass begging for them to help them out in the war and begging for the Gungans. It's one of the worst line deliveries you can ever see. You can look up the scene. This is my decoy. No, I beg of you to help us. I am your humble servant. I'm not even, you go look up the scene. That's exactly how she delivers it. There's no emotion to it whatsoever. There's nothing to it. Planetarium, yes, it's a weird movie, just like you said. Weird movie, kind of a boring movie, jumps all over the place. That's not Natalie Portman's fault. She's playing a dual role in that as well, where she's playing a character when she's up on stage doing her seances, and she says so in the movie that I control my own performances in the seances, and she's doing that, and then she gives a different performance when she's off stage. That's the point, and she alludes to the fact that she speaks French. She's just not comfortable doing it in front of people very much. That's why she has to translate during the seance.
And time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the 4-minute open debate round. So we are going to debate these two really weird movies, if we're really being honest about it. Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace versus Planetarium.
I'll be a lot calmer this time.
Go ahead, John.
I mean, just the one plot point. Like, really, like she doesn't speak French, or at least right before she starts speaking French in the next scene fluently, she actually says to the director, "I know how to say a few things," and she says one sentence in French. In the next scene, she understands a full conversation without a translator, and then she does a whole acting scene like with stage direction and everything. She makes that one mistake with the stage direction.
Well, again, you're talking about plot points in the writing that has nothing to do with her performance as the character. Again, she's not the problem with this movie, John. You picked a bland, boring, weird 10 plot movie. That's not her contributing to that. She's fine.
I would say it is because what she should have done is delivered a performance as a mediocre actress because she's not an actress, but she delivers a performance as a great actress. So the blame does fall on her, and it falls on Rebecca Zlotowski too. Don't get me wrong. The blame is shared in this. But there's no course correction. She doesn't play the character. Natalie Portman speaks fluent French, and she's a great actress. She's playing Natalie Portman. That's horrible. It's a betrayal.
She's playing a character who's uncomfortable acting. That's great acting because she's able to act in front of the camera for real, and she's also playing a character that's uncomfortable acting and having trouble with her French lines in this French movie.
She has no trouble. She has no trouble.
No. She stops and she looks off screen several times and asking the director.
That's 1940s acting.
That's what they're doing. But that's what they're doing. She's uncomfortable. She stops. They're editing. Yes, it does. It happens in the first time they do a scene where they're painting the painting or whatever. That's exactly what happens in that scene. She's playing multiple dynamics.
All they do is they say like, "Oh, please don't speak so loud." Is the only direction she gets from director. She don't speak too loud. But as far as the Phantom Menace goes, like how much is Natalie even in the movie? Like there's so many characters. She's like a second, maybe third tier character.
Okay. If you can win an Oscar for a great performance in 10 minutes, you can like be bad in 10 minutes as well. It can have your worst performance in 10 minutes.
I don't think it's bad. The line deliveries, anytime she's delivering lines as the Queen, even that bad scene you're talking about, those lines are delivered that way on purpose. Just like you said, she's acting the way she's being directed to in Planetarium. She's acting the way
Keira Knightley gives better facial expressions and better expression to where you can see inside her. When she's playing playing the Queen, and it's not Natalie Portman doing it. You can literally look at them side by side, John, and see that Keira Knightley is giving a performance where you can look to the character of Amidala better with her. If they had casted her and cast them separately, you may not even have this problem.
They sound exactly the same. It is talking like this, and this is how
the
they
facial
talk.
expressions. That's what
There's
I'm talking about, John. I didn't say that. The facial expressions.
There is zero facial expression. I'd say there's zero facial expressions. I would require you to go back and watch that scene. They both deliberately have zero facial expressions. They deliberately have zero tonality in their voice. As far as the other scenes, we're not talking that many scenes. Like Natalie Portman's in Planetarium the entire time, making horrible character choices. The entire time. Perfectly fine in a bad movie. That's perfect. There's plenty of people her sister dies tragically. No sorrow ever. This guy, she watches this guy have an erection. She's not even creeped out. She goes to a nude beach. She's supposed to be having this romantic liaison with her co-star. There's no heat, like no passion in any scene.
That's a problem with the writing and the plot.
It's a problem with her delivery. It's a problem with her acting.
She is perfectly fine. She's doing exactly what she's asked to do, John. The problem is the Phantom Menace.
No emotion.
She's trying to have emotion. Look at that scene with Boss Nass, and it's the blandest robotic thing you've ever seen. And again, there's other actors around him.
Than in all of Planetarium, and in Planetarium, like real dramatic stuff is happening. Her sister's dying of leukemia, and she leaves her alone with a pervert. Oh, that's cool. Great.
There's drama.
There's no reactions.
I am Queen Amidala. I'm sorry for the deception. Go fact check that. That's exactly how she delivers that line.
That's how Queen Amidala talks.
No,
that's exactly how she talks.
She's not wearing the makeup. She's not in front of a Senate. She's not in front of politicians. Amidala. She's just talking, and she talks as Padme completely differently. That's the point.
Exactly, because when she's Padme,
when she does that,
when she's the queen, she's the queen. It's exactly the way it was supposed to be written. She performed exactly the way she's supposed to be written. In Planetarium, there were times for emotion, delivered none.
Time. All right. So we're gonna go into our closing arguments now. So final 60 seconds on this one. And this time you guys can't talk over each other, so I don't have to worry about anything. All right, so 60 seconds. John, whenever you start talking.
Let's talk pure time on screen. She's in Phantom Menace for like not much time at all. It cuts back and forth. Yes, sure, Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson do a great job. They're the main characters in the movie. They have so much more to do, so many more opportunities to wow the crowd. In Planetarium, she's on scene almost every single scene. Her sister, her closest compatriot in the entire movie, someone she spent her entire life with, rapidly dies of leukemia and not even a tear. Like, she's obviously sad, but she doesn't cry. I think she's being directed to do that, but she doesn't even make the decision to cry. She has a romance. There's no romance. They're in the house of a creep. She's not creeped out. Like, everything is delivered bland on purpose. Like, she's making that decision. Whereas in the Phantom Menace, she's directed to be that way. That is the difference here. Queen Amidala is meant to be a stoic, monosyllabic character. Laura Barlow is meant to be a human being on Earth with emotions, and we don't see it at all. Is it Rebecca Zlotowski's fault? Probably, but Natalie Portman was established in 2016. She definitely had the ability to fix this shit, and she did it.
And time. All right, final 60 seconds of the question, or round rather. Austin, we're going to go to you. Wrap this up for us, buddy.
Yeah, Natalie Portman did overcome bad direction and bad script. She does it in the later prequels, which shows that she could have done it in this one, and she does it. So the problem is, and John keeps talking about screen time. Screen time doesn't matter. You can win an Oscar in 10 minutes of screen time, and you can be one of the worst actors on screen for 10 minutes of screen time. That's completely irrelevant. The worst performance is a worst performance because you can completely kill the movie with any of the screen time you do have. Look, Planetarium, again, he's talking more about the movie, the bad plot, the bad characterizations and things like that. She's doing exactly what she does. She's doing it perfectly fine. She's a seasoned actress at this point, and she's actually playing a very level dimensions to her character in this movie, like 4 different dimensions to her character, because she's doing a seance character when she's on screen. She's being a lover off screen. She's being an actress that's kind of awkward at acting, and she's also, acting in front of the camera. She's doing a multi-leveled, decent performance in that movie. That's not her fault. In this one, in episode 1, she gives 2 bad performances in 2 basic roles, and everybody else out of the movie comes completely unscathed except for her. That's her problem.
And time. All right, gentlemen, well battled out. We are going to go to the judges. As the judges come in, Henry, wake up. I'm going to do a couple fact checks. First one, Johnny Depp's daughter is Lily Rose Depp. That was something that was mentioned in the opening rounds, if you guys can remember that far back. And the other one, Natalie Portman has 32 minutes of screen time in The Phantom Menace, following 2 other characters of Qui-Gon and Anakin. So only Liam Neeson and Jake Wood have more screen time than Natalie Portman. But, you know, take that if it matters. There you go. Henry, we're going to go to you first. Who gets the point this round and why?
Everyone's favorites. Worst. It's conflicting for me because John really focused on like why his movie's bad or weird, and Pez really only used one scene / like set of line deliveries like as his crutch. But I feel like I don't know. I got Pez. I don't even, at this point. I don't. I lost count of like really because there wasn't much to go with. You know, it's tough to just try and knock an actress because that's a lot of pressure. But I felt like Pez did a good job of explaining why, you know, in his closing arguments he said in the other prequel movies she does better. So it's not just the George Lucas line readings, all that stuff. So it was just specifically this one that, you know. So I'm gonna go with Pez. You know, slight margin, lot less points on my board, but Pez.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. No, we're gonna go to you next. Who gets your point in this round and why?
You know, I'm really happy I'm a judge on this because this is such a great match. Like, it's so passionate. I'm going to have to go with Pez as well, just because of the fact that he was able to make it seem like it wasn't Natalie Portman's fault in Planetarium. It was because of the writing and everything like that. And I think John made a fatal mistake by saying, like he said it, and I know what he was trying to say, but he said it was a great performance by Natalie Portman in his movie, even though he's trying to argue it's the worst. I understand where he was trying to go with that. Like, it's her worst because she's doing her best as Natalie Portman, not the character. But that combined with just what Austin was saying about the movie and saying about Phantom Menace, Austin won for me.
There you go. So that means Austin gets the point this round. Jacob, we'll get you next time. I'm sorry, man. All right, we're going to go on to question number 3. With a tie going 1-1. So really, this is anyone's game at this point. But this next question is probably my favorite question of the night.
Me too.
And we're going into the MonsterVerse. So I'm just going to get right into it because I don't want to waste any time. Which kaiju from the classic Japanese series should appear next in the MonsterVerse movies? Now, for this, we basically said anything pre-2000s, honestly, as long as it's not Roland Emmerich's Godzilla, and they haven't appeared in the last, 4 movies now so far. Anything was up for grabs, so we kind of left it up to the competitors to pick a monster and bring them into the MonsterVerse so long as they had not already shown up. So for this, Austin, you're going first, and 60 seconds for your open.
All right.
Starts whenever you start talking.
Okay. For this question, I love this question, by the way. Thank you for writing it. I'm a big kaiju fan. So mine, I went with something we've never gotten before. I want something the freshest you could get. Literally something we have never, ever, ever seen in the 60 years we have been waiting to see it. And that is Godzilla and Gamera crossover. My answer is Gamera. And yes, they are completely different studios, Kadokawa Studios versus Toho. But this is literally the ultimate crossover that every kaiju fan, every Godzilla fan, every Gamera fan has been clamoring for decades and decades and decades, and we have been denied because of these studio issues, the fact that they will not cooperate, they won't do a Roger Rabbit style crossover, they won't do Freddy versus Jason, they won't do Marvel versus DC. We want Godzilla and Gamera. It doesn't necessarily have to be a versus, but we want a collaboration. I want this guy right here on screen. There's Gamera. He's the man. He's a giant, awesome turtle. Look at those fangs. Look at those claws. Look at that shell. He shoots plasma fireballs. I'll get into it in a minute.
The man has a model for those of you guys who were about to Google who Gamera was. But we're going to go to John next. John, he's picked Gamera. Who are you picking instead?
I'm kind of approaching this question as if I'm actually producing the MonsterVerse films. Obviously, we kind of have fiat power in this world. You know, Pez will be able to do away with the studio disputes. But I'm going with what we've already got going. You know, we're 4 films in. We got the 5th film announced. We know the 5th film is going to be this Godzilla versus Kong sequel. We know that like Kong's in the Hollow Earth. We've introduced a few things. There's some plot points already in motion. I think Gamera is a great pick, but I don't think it's Gamera's time. I think right now, with the way the series is going, we already have a lot of plot points set up to bring in Destroyer. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, they released the Oxygen Destroyer into the water, which if you go back into the canon, that is exactly the origin story of Destroyer or Destoroyah or however you want to pronounce it. So all these pieces are set yet. They haven't announced it. There's rumors that that is going to be the big final boss in this Godzilla arc. So we got this huge Godzilla Kong arc going on. Destroyer would be a fantastic final boss, which is the way it's so hard to kill. It breaks down to lower levels, rises back up. Gamera can come in. Gamera is going to be later.
And time. Austin, you have a Destroyer toy behind you? There, can we put that on the? There you go. All right.
Destroyer. I'll talk about it in a second.
So you guys have a visual of what's coming up. All right. So Gamera versus Destroyer, or either one of them versus Godzilla / Kong / whoever. We're gonna go to the 2-minute open round, or not 2-minute open round, just the 2-minute expanding round. So Austin, we're gonna go back to you. 2 minutes when you start talking.
Just for reference, I'm going to mainly stick to the sort of Heisei era Gamera from the trilogy, the Guardians of the Universe trilogy, which is kind of the coolest era of Gamera, as most fans agree. But yeah, it's literally something. It can be his time. We've already had several Godzilla movies in this new MonsterVerse, and again, we've been waiting 60 years for something like this ever since Gamera first appeared in 1964, 10 years after Gojira in 1954. We've been wanting this crossover, and it's something we've been denied because of studio rights. And again, yeah, I'm playing it like I was a producer and I could set all the studio rights. Yes, I understand all of that, but you could absolutely set up Gamera, and it's one of those things where, again, you can either go with the Hollow Earth or you could go with the scene of King of the Monsters when he's sort of in that underground weird city. There's a backstory of Gamera where he's set up from Atlantis, where he's sort of a protector of Atlantis, and he's conjured by them. So you could go with either one of those, or he could be a guardian of all the different monsters in the Hollow Earth, or a protector, or keeping them kind of in line. But the cool thing about Gamera is you can play him as either an anti-hero or an ally, because he is a guardian. He is technically a good guy, but he's very reckless. So you could have him teaming with Godzilla against a bigger threat. You could have him go up against if you bring Gamera into the thing, you can also bring Gamera's foes into it. You could bring Gaios, or you could bring Iris into it, who are very formidable big giant bosses, the ones he fights in those trilogies. So you have Gamera here, who's very cool. He shoots plasma fireballs instead of a laser beam, so it's very cool. Or excuse me, a radiation heat beam. He's got jetpack feet. Technically, he can fly. You don't have to bring in that immediately. That can be like a big payoff at the end of the movie. But you can have him teaming up against some bigger threat, or you could flat out do the fight that we've always wanted to. Destroyer is cool. He's a very cool character in concept, but he really is not like the biggest threat of that movie, and he's not even the coolest thing about that movie. Actually, the coolest thing about that movie is Meltdown, red core Godzilla that is melting down, and he's the real threat of that movie, and that's the coolest concept you can bring.
And time. All right, John, we're going to go to you for your 2 minutes. Time starts whenever you start talking.
I think the interesting thing about this debate is, like, I actually agree with a lot of the stuff Pez is saying, and I agree with it so much that, like, Gamera is cool. Gamera has a huge franchise. There's so much to draw from, so much lore. He has his own rogues gallery of villains. To shoehorn Gamera into the Godzilla Kong saga as it sits right now is a disservice to Gamera. Gamera needs a standalone film to start off with, introduce Gamera, show all his cool stuff, show all his foes. Maybe after this whole Godzilla Kong thing resolves, then have Gamera standalone film, and then do a crossover after. I believe that introducing Gamera is the wrong time. The question is not who's the coolest creature with the coolest powers. It's what should we do? Who should be the next monster in the Monsterverse? Why would we go through all this trouble to release the Oxygen Destroyer if Destroyer is not coming? Destroyer's got to be coming. Destroyer not only should be, Destroyer will be. And also, Gamera is a turtle. He's a reptile. Godzilla's a reptile. You're going to have Titanus Doug in the next film, also a reptile. You're going to lose Gamera in the shuffle. Too many reptiles at once. We got to spread the love a little bit. We got Kong. He's a monkey. You had Mothra. You have, and then you have Destroyer, who, yeah, he looks like a giant dragon when he's up, but when he breaks down his little forms, he's a Precambrian cell. He's a crab. He's this. He's that. Then he goes. It's a very interesting concept, and he's a very elusive villain. If you remember the original film, actually Godzilla couldn't defeat Destroyer by himself. He needed the help of the military to destroy Destroyer. So actually, the fact that we have Godzilla and Kong, we're going to have them come together, beat a final foe who should be Destroyer. I don't want to take any of the spotlight away from Gamera. Gamera is too important to bring in right now. He is a fantastic character. Everything Austin says is right. I like the rocket shoes. I like all of his powers. Bringing him in now, he's going to be relegated to a C-level character. It's like anything in the MCU. People need their standalone movies first so that you get the whole character. We've been waiting 60 years. Why do you want to bring him in as a C-tier character? Bring Gamera in as fucking Gamera.
All right, so that's the end of the 2 minutes. I knew I was going to love this argument, but we're going to go into the open debate round. 4 minutes. You guys can talk to each other, not at each other, please and thank you. And not over each other. That's the other part that I wanted to make sure.
I'm just saying, Pez looks great for 60. He's been waiting long. He looks great for 60. But Pez,
waiting too long. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
And just to be clear, these are actual characters. None of these are made up by.
These are all real. They all have real action figures. They are all real, as you can see. If they weren't real, they would all have real action figures.
With them at least 40 years ago.
Give you another look at that. Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, these are real. They're not just saying words. All right, so 4 minute open debate. Whenever one of you guys start talking.
Go ahead, John.
No, Pez, go ahead.
I got you. Well, look, to me, if you bring in Destroyer, again, he's an interesting looking character, but he's still got that dragon-like ability or that sort of thing that King Ghidorah has. And really, you're just bringing in a C-level Godzilla villain because he's only appeared in the one movie. You're actually downgrading your villain for that movie if you bring in Destroyer because King Ghidorah is like the boss of bosses, and we kick.
And he's still technically around, and they've had team-ups. So the way I envision is, the Ghidorah head is still floating around. Obviously, Ghidorah is going to play a role, and Ghidorah just has more kaiju that come in. It should be Destroyer. Bringing in Gamera into that mess, it's a disservice. You love Gamera so much. Gamera needs a standalone movie. We have to resolve Kong and Godzilla first. Gamera should not be thrown in the middle.
No, I'm saying this is a hypothetical. If I was in there, I would not be doing Godzilla versus Kong 2. We don't need a Godzilla versus Kong 2.
But it says what should be next.
I know that. What should be next if I was in charge? That's the point of the question. If I was in charge, I would scrap all that crap and let's bring in Gamera. That's something that's fresh that we have never, ever seen. We've seen Godzilla and Kong. We've seen Godzilla Destroyer. We've seen Godzilla and King Ghidorah. We've seen Godzilla and every other monster. We've never seen this. That's my point.
I'm going to put my producer hat back on. I'm telling you, obviously these movies are doing great at the box office. It's not just your demographic. It's not just kaiju fans. We're getting a crossover audience. They're going to want to see this storyline resolve, and so let it resolve. We'll bring in Destroyer. We'll have the big blow off. Gamera comes in next, and Gamera gets to have like your Batman arc.
Well, you're talking about core audience. Nobody other than me, goddammit, knows who Destroyer is, bro. And it's one of my favorite movies in the series. And you're talking about that. I understand that, but you're talking about all this mainstream audience. Nobody knows who the hell this is. I'm the one who has the goddamn action figure. I would be the one that was excited for it. That's fine. I get that, and I like this character overall. But the more mainstream fans, again, mainstream kaiju fans, they know who Gamera is because he had all those movies, even on Mystery Science Theater 3000, even on and all the mainstream stuff. He has more of a crossover feel, and it literally, like I said, it's Freddy versus Jason. This is this thing we've been wanting to see forever. This is Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny like crossing over. That's the thing. Your
casual fan isn't going to know, and your casual fan is just going to write Gamera off. Just coming in like, oh, it's a turtle. Didn't we have that lizard guy in the last, that Titanis Doug character? We need to get a clean break from it. A clean break. Just give Gamera a standalone movie. But let's resolve this.
Give Gamera a standalone movie. You have to cut him in because, again, that's the way you're going to introduce him to the mainstream audience that you're talking about.
We can resolve the whole thing. Have just the same thing they did in the original movie. Have Destroyer fuck up Kong and Godzilla. Then they go into some kind of hypersleep, and then Gamera comes in as the reserve forces to handle whatever the next week. His guy is coming in. Then that happens. Then all of a sudden, at the end of it, Godzilla, Kong, they wake up. Are they friends? Are they enemies?
But you can have Gamera come in and then break off and give him his standalone movie after that. Because if you just put a Gamera movie if you throw Gamera in there by himself, it's gonna bomb and you're gonna tank the whole thing before it even starts. And
not if you do like a post-credit sequence, if they all fall in, you get the post-credit sequence. Oh, who's this guy? Oh, it's a fucking turtle. This is freaking awesome. They've been doing what they're doing, these post-credit sequences, these mid-credit sequences. They know what they're doing. They can get the hype. They're hyping up all these characters that all these non-kaiju fans don't know about. Ghidorah or Rodan Man or Mothra. Some of them, they might know Godzilla and Kong. They don't know anybody else, and they're hyped for these characters already. You got to trust the process, let these things resolve, give the people what they want, and then hit them with a new story. Like Gamera is awesome.
You've already set up that story, like we talking about.
Right.
You set up the Hollow Earth, or you set up the underground weird Atlantis thing that he would when they blew up the nuke and revived him. Like you set up that kind of stuff. You've already planted those seeds. All you have to do is like jump on it and say, "Oh, that was Gamera. Gamera was there the whole time." There was concept art where Gamera was in the background for Godzilla King of the Monsters. If they had the rights to it. Again, this is a completely hypothetical question. If I was in charge, like you're trying to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do like this is how it's gonna work," or "This is how I would do." Like this is a completely hypothetical, fun question. If I was in charge, this is who I would put in the next one.
Time. I'm half tempted to let you guys go on for another 30 minutes. But I know that the judges probably have stuff to do after this, as well as Aaron probably won't let me do another 30 minutes. But we're going to go to the closing session, or the closing arguments here. So, gentlemen, you're going to have to wrap up everything that you guys have said in the next 60 seconds. Good luck. John, we're going to go...
No, me first.
I'm messing it up again. Austin, you're going to go first. 60 seconds whenever you start talking.
And again, John missed the most interesting thing about that movie. If you're going to bring anything from the Dust Destroyer movie, it's the meltdown Godzilla, the core about to erupt and him about to blow up basically the entire world when he melts down. That's the most interesting thing about that movie. Not just another C-tier Godzilla villain, which is what you're talking about doing. What I'm talking about doing, again, is completely fresh, completely new, and it's a cool dynamic. Because Gamera is not necessarily a villain, you can play him as either an anti-hero or a full-on guardian who could perceive Godzilla as a threat and go after him. There's so many different avenues you could do with him. He could be reckless in trying to protect from other monsters, but in the process he destroys a lot of things, and it creates a lot of conflict for the human characters deciding whether or not he is. He has a psychic connection. There's like these rune things that people can have to have a psychic connection with him, so they can kind of know his motivations. There's so many different cool backstory you could really dive into with Gamera. It opens up a whole new area of things for kaiju, not just another Godzilla versus big giant dragon monster, which essentially is what we've already had with King Ghidorah, only this one just looks like a big devil creature, which is cool, but it's the same thing.
And time. All right, final 60 seconds of this argument. John, wrap it up.
I'm just going to play with my creatures while you're that's fine.
You play with yourself however you want to.
I think, sadly, Pez is missing the point of this argument. Really, yes, all these movies, since the beginning of time, since we first did kaiju movies, it is always like this giant monster versus this giant monster. And all the things all these lay people know about is that it is this giant monster versus this giant monster. Gamera, it's not his time. Gamera deserves his own arc. We need to resolve this arc. You can't just shoehorn. You can't just have Gamera be Godzilla versus Kong 2, and then, by the way, Gamera's in it. His name needs to be in the title of the movie. It needs to be Gamera, period. Bring him in. When they brought in Iron Man, it was Iron Man. Thor was Thor. Hulk was Hulk. Doctor Strange was Doctor Strange. Gamera should be Gamera. It shouldn't be Godzilla versus Kong and then it's some C storyline. Give him a post-credit sequence in Godzilla versus Kong 2. Tease Gamera. Do the Destroyer thing, which you've already set up. And I know the meltdown thing, but they didn't set that up. But they did set up Destroyer. Destroyer is set up to come. Resolve that storyline. Gamera is awesome. Gamera is coming. You waited 60 years. Wait 65 years.
And time. All right, gentlemen, you guys really brought it for that one, and I'm so happy because that was my favorite question that I wrote for this.
Mine too.
And I'm really glad that you guys brought it for it too. So I'm going to send you guys down to the Upside Down and bring in Vecna and then these other two. So Noah, we're going to start with you. There wasn't a lot of fact checking to go around in this round. They both kind of knew their stuff. So we're going to go to you first, Noah. Who gets the point and why?
I just want to say, Jesus Christ. God damn, you guys know a lot. I'm going to give my point to John because the main point that got me is everything that Austin was saying about Gamera and him just being awesome and all these storylines and arcs and things you could do with this and that. Really reinforced John's point that this character is so unique and so special and so interesting that you have to have a standalone movie, and you can't do that with this current arc. That's the point that got me, so I'm giving it to John.
Perfect. Jacob, we're going to go to you next. Who gets your point in this round and why?
This was another close one, but so I'm just gonna go with the guy who I thought best described a movie that I would want to see, and that was For me, that was Austin. I think he just described a character that I want to see in this universe more. So
fair enough. I mean, hey, judges can kind of pick how they want to choose their answer, so that's more than a valid way to pick. So, Henry, it's a tie. You got to break the tie. Who's getting the point, and who's getting the point for the whole round?
So I came at this as someone who doesn't know either of these characters, so I wanted to hear the pitches of just how does, you know, the question is what should appear next in the Monsterverse. So I wanted to hear both their reasonings. And Pez did he did a choice of going the hypothetical and was like, oh, just essentially scrap what they're doing and start fresh. But John was able to knock that, essentially talk about how with the MCU, he's like, you know, you got to be patient, you got to start from the beginning. And you know, that's pretty much exactly what I was thinking, because when you like what Noah said, with this character, you have all these ideas and his build up and all this stuff that you're either gonna cram into one movie and it's gonna be convoluted and too extra and a lot of stuff, it's going to be, you know, overstuffed, or you're going to pretty much set up, you know, a new character at the end of this trilogy or the end of this series, and it's kind of conflicting. So John definitely set it up of like, you know, start fresh with the MCU with his character, and then destroy it end as the big bad in his. So I'm going to go with John.
There you go. So John does get the point this round. Thank you, judges, for your help on this one. We are going to go to the next question, the final question of the open debate round.
Point of order. I thank you for saying I know my shit about kaiju, because I know dick about kaiju.
And I do, which is why it's disappointing. I just lost that question. That sucks, because I'm a giant Godzilla fan.
we can tell, but it was honestly just a great round, and I'm really glad that you guys brought up that one, because goddamn, I want to see.
Destroyer will destroy you all. Here he comes.
Eventually.
Yes.
You know what? He's probably going to stick to the coastal United States, so I'm safe up here. All right, we're going to go to the final question of the prepared questions. Question number 4 of the match. And we're going to talk about a man who is, in my eyes, trying to commit suicide while making a movie, but there's no actual proof of that. He just had a movie hit $1 billion as of the time of recording. His first time hitting $1 billion, which is insane to me. Tom Cruise, the legendary Tom Cruise. And instead of asking about a performance, I decided to ask, what is the best Tom Cruise run? Now, there's a lot of them. I think just about every single movie of his, except for Born on the 4th of July, where he's in a wheelchair for most of it, has a run of some kind. Hey, you know what? Give him the wheelchair run, too. So I want to know which one is his best one, and I'm interested to see how you guys are going to argue this. John, we're going to go to you first. What is your pick for the best Tom Cruise run?
It's funny because when you first posed this question to me, I was like, oh, he's had a lot of great runs. I mean, like the whole Mission Impossible thing is a great run of movies. Then you guys clarified, like, no, him actually running. And like, I think we know, like, the most iconic running scene, it's actually in a non-action film. It's the opening sequence in Vanilla Sky. That sequence, first of all, production-wise, to get every single person out of Times Square in every single direction, where it's just a desolate New York City, is like jaw-droppingly, cinematographically awesome. Him by himself. And it's not just running, whereas obviously we get Tom Cruise going up to a full sprint in pretty much every movie, and Pez will talk about another great run that he does. But in this movie, you get like him running, he's panicked, he's confused, it intersperses all these other dream sequence things. The run actually is a metaphor for the entire movie in Vanilla Sky, whereas in other movies where he's running, it's just a throwaway action sequence. He's running from bullets, he's chasing somebody, he's in pursuit. In Vanilla Sky, if you break it down, the run is the whole movie. So Vanilla Sky is the best run.
And time. Getting into some words that I didn't even know existed in that one. Cinemagraphically? Damn. All right, Austin, we're going to go to you next. What is your pick for the best Tom Cruise run? And yes, a physical run.
Yes, physical run. I do not have any action figures to act it out this time, so I will not do that. But yeah, I did pick one of his action sequences, and it's from the most recent Mission Impossible Fallout. And it's the sequence where he is chasing after Henry Cavill's Walker character. So what makes the sequence really cool is not only is it a very extended sequence that actually leads into kind of the third act of the movie, and it's critical to the plot. It lasts a very long time. It's a very critical sequence, and it has comedy and it has action. action all mixed into one. It has great stunt work. This is the actual run where Tom Cruise broke his ankle in the sequence and then kept going, where he's a madman, as we talked about, where we're determined he wants to die on screen. And yeah, I'll get more into the Vanilla Sky thing, but literally it's such a quick sequence. The movie kind of peaks with that, and then you're really like kind of downhill from there. So I'll talk a little bit about more that, excuse me, in just a second.
All right, gentlemen, we're going into the 2-minute round here. So, John, we're going to go back to you. 2 more minutes to talk about Vanilla Sky and why it's the best run.
Well, Pez and I are kind of far apart here. Obviously, Vanilla Sky, not an action movie. Mission Impossible Fallout, like a very good action movie. So, you know, obviously in an action movie, you're going to have chases. You're going to have pursuits. You expect a run, and you expect a good caliber run. It better be a really great run if it's in an action movie. It better be a really good run if it's in a Mission Impossible franchise. You don't expect a run. You don't expect a full-on sprint. You don't expect a dramatic, panicked, confused sprint in the middle of a sci-fi drama movie, especially one that's about a man who's disfigured and he's in a dream sequence, he's in a coma, and that run does set the tone. And Pez is going to say it's a bad movie. Vanilla Sky is not a bad movie. Vanilla Sky is a very compelling movie. But without getting to that, let's talk about what he said about the Mission Impossible Fallout run. Is there comedy? They try to have comedy. Simon Pegg, who's like, you know, a member of this elite, the elite Mission Impossible task force, doesn't realize that his tablet is upside down, doesn't realize the tablet is in 2D when it's supposed to be in 3D. Holy shit, man. I almost died laughing. It was so funny. The action sequences, it's a lot of straight line running. There's a straight line run down a roof. There's a straight line run down a bridge. There's a straight line run down a sidewalk. There's 2 jumps. Yes, he breaks his ankle, but there's just 2 jumps. It's basically, I see more action watching 60 seconds of American Ninja Warrior because the parkour is real. It's straight line jumps. Also, it is an extended sequence, but a lot of that extended sequence is him figuring out which way to run. It's him interrupting a funeral where people react totally abnormally. There's like 400 people in a funeral. He just kind of strolls in the middle of it, and then everybody's stalking him in there, and nobody tries to stop him. Clearly, he's a wanted person. Nobody even makes a move. He walks the way through the funeral. There's a scene where he runs to the middle of the office and grabs a chair and throws it through a window, and everybody's just totally cool with it. You know, they don't call security. They don't call the cops. He just jumps out the window like, oh, bye, mysterious lunatic who just ran through our office for no reason, and they just solemnly watch him run away. I'm not saying my action movies need to be realistic, but like don't feed me like horse shit and tell me it's beef Wellington. This is not funny, and it's kind of hacky and trite.
Now I'm hungry, but not for horse shit, more for beef Wellington. All right, Austin, we're going to go to you. 2 minutes to talk about why the Fallout run is better than the Vanilla Sky run.
Yeah, a lot of the sequences are crazy and sort of unrealistic. That's why it's called Mission Impossible. And the whole sequence is that the whole thing is you expect these runs from Tom Cruise at this point. It's one of the things we look forward to is how fast he's going to run, what's he going to run from, what's he going to run towards. And the whole thing is that what's unique about this, and he's not just running in a straight line somewhere, it's a multi-leveled, multi-layered, multi-dimensional, literally run. He's running, it has stakes. He's running after the Walker character, trying to stop him before he goes off to get his wife going off before he gets to his boss. So he's walking. Tom Cruise literally has a half mile to go to catch up with Walker, which is insane, and how it just shows you how fast he can run. Yes, there's a lot of awkward situations. That's what makes it funny. There's Simon Pegg, who is doing I forgot to, I had it in 2D. Well, that's what happens sometimes when you're caught up in the moment, when you're trying to focus on what talking to Tom Cruise. We all make mistakes. That's a human thing, and it actually makes Benji more human. Yeah, and like I said, there's multi-levels to it. It's not just him running a straight line. He's running up the stairs. He's running out windows. He's jumping out windows. He's jumping the lengths, breaking his ankle for real, then keep going. There's actual stakes. He's trying to catch up with this guy. It's literally the whole sequence that is a build-up to the final climax of the film. The problem I have with Vanilla Sky is it's literally the opening of the movie, and the actual running in the sequence is about 20 seconds long. And it's one of those things where the movie actually kind of peaks with that, and then you still have 2 hours to go. So I'm not arguing whether or not Vanilla Sky is a good movie. I'm just saying it kind of peaks with that, and then by the time 2 hours have gone by, you've either fallen asleep or you've forgotten about it, or you just, there's been so much other stuff bombarded at you that you kind of forget about that. Yeah, an abandoned Times Square is really unique, except for the fact that if it's during Corona times, which it was just naturally like that anyways. So I don't, and there's other movies that did it better. I think the Jason Takes Manhattan, which what you were talking about earlier, has a more dynamic, impressive sequence where you do the pan around of Jason actually walking around Times Square, which is more impressive. Captain America waking up in Times Square has more of a dynamic about the plot with it. And somebody walking around an abandoned city is done better in 28 Days Later. here. There's other things that are more memorable. There's a reason why people don't talk about this very much.
And time. I'll be honest. As soon as I submitted the question, I didn't realize that they were going to talk for this long about 2 runs, and I wasn't sure how they were going to do it. But now they're showing me how you would do it. So we're going to go into the opening debate round. 4 minutes for you guys to discuss these 2 runs and which one is better and which one is worse. Time starts whenever one of you guys start talking.
So I think the Vanilla Sky run, it is iconic, and you might be right. It might peak there, but it is an iconic thing. And when you think about Vanilla Sky, that's the one thing you think about. And I'm going to go back to one of your previous points. Like the Fallout run is extended, and like you said with your point in Jason Takes Manhattan, the fact that it's extended, it gives it so much more opportunity to expose its flaws. The humor is not funny, and it's actually.
I would counter that with the fact that when I saw it in the theater, people were laughing. So I mean, you could say it's not funny. Maybe it wasn't funny to you, but it's funny to most mainstream audiences. And Simon Pegg is a funny character. I
agree. Simon Pegg's a funny character, but if he is a member of the IMF, he should realize if he's holding a tablet right side up or upside down. He should realize if a tablet's in 2D or 3D. And I do feel that when Tom Cruise or Ethan Hunt runs into that office and totally disrupts people's workday, that scene. I mean, it's an action movie. We're supposed to suspend disbelief. I can't suspend my disbelief that much.
I can suspend my disbelief because even if they called security, what are they going to do? Tom Cruise runs a half mile in like 5 minutes. Like
they don't know that. They only saw him when he came in the room.
I understand that. I'm just saying they're not going to be able to catch him anyway. So who gives a shit?
But they let him pick up a chair and throw it through the window.
They're not letting. He just says he grabs it. Like he does it so fast that he jumps out the window. Is anybody going to do about it?
Can somebody run into your job and throw a chair through the window?
Somebody could do that, and then we would talk about it later and make for an interesting day.
I guess so, but would you solemnly watch him run away out the window? It's just like there's so many like.
We don't know what happened afterwards. They probably did call security.
You get an excellent straight line run. You get an awkward moment. You get an excellent straight line run. You get an awkward moment. If those awkward moments were taken out, you have a fantastic linear action scene. But it's the awkward moments are part of the
comedy, John. That's part of the comedy. Is the awkward situations where he doesn't know where to go. Do I go left? Do I go right? I can't go left. I can't go right. I can't jump out that window.
Go right. Yes. So that's intelligent. Insulting, bad. It's bad. It's just that's bad. That's lazy writing. It's not. It's lazy writing. It's lazy writing.
No, and let's talk about yours some more because again, it's a cool visual, but it's so brief and it's so quick paced that again, you forget about it. No, it's not powerful because it doesn't have any stakes because when you realize the whole thing is a damn dream at the end of the movie, it literally wasn't real anyways. You could do that in your own dream tonight when you fall asleep in your own lucid dream. So like, but
we see at the end of the dream sequence, everything is invading the dream sequence. The coma that he's deliberately put in is eroding. It is foreshadowing the rest of the movie. The entire movie of Vanilla Sky is encapsulated in that 20 seconds. Upon rewatch, everything is happening there. It's actually perfect. Everything is encapsulated in that moment. Whereas the Fallout scene, it doesn't drag on forever, but there's so many low points in there, and it's not even always comical. There's just low points.
Low points
he closes the gate and he's wandering around.
In a 6.5 minute scene? In a 6.5 minute scene? Like you're talking about low points. My thing has great cinematography.
Oh, and he doesn't even catch the guy.
He does catch the guy. He hangs onto the damn elevator. You're completely
missing away. He gets away. If he needs to catch him, if the stakes are so high that he needs to catch him, he runs and runs and runs, and he doesn't make it.
He does make it. He lets go because he holds in the picture of his wife and says, "Your wife is dead if you don't let go right now."
And he still follows him up to the roof, and they're already in the helicopter.
They get away. He
didn't let him go.
He hesitates because he is threatened because he cares for his wife. It actually enhances the button of the scene.
Simon Pegg's fault. Never had a chance, and it was Simon Pegg's fault. This elite, the IMF fails on every level in that. If he's as great a runner as he is, as athlete as he is, and we should never mention the fact that he broke his ankle because Ethan Hunt didn't break his ankle, Tom Cruise broke his ankle, the character didn't break his ankle, and they failed. He failed to catch the guy.
No, he literally catches the guy. I don't know how you can say he doesn't catch him.
He catches him.
The damn elevator and catches him. Yes, and then there's a twist where
if I'm on this side of the wall and you're on that side of the wall, you didn't catch me. He didn't catch him. There's literal level between them.
Then there's another level. There's a revelation, John. It's a
huge action scene with no resolution. It's a huge action scene, and you're just totally let down. You're let down by the comedy. You're let down by the fake parkour, and you're let down by the denouement. It's a failure all the way through.
Hello?
Killer?
We ran out of time, so we stopped talking.
Medina's on mute, I bet.
Okay.
How was your day, Pez?
Well, good. We'll edit this in post. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we can talk about whatever we want.
It's a good thing this isn't live.
All right, I'll step in here and allow the video to continue while he's away for a sec.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go into the hi everybody. By the way, I've been here the whole time. We're going to go into 1 minute closings. It is John that is up first. You got 1 minute on the clock, sir.
I don't see the clock, but let's keep going. So we're going to talk about like the point we had in like that the point that Pez made in Jason Takes Manhattan. When a scene goes on too long, you open yourself up to like just more ways to criticize the scene. Maybe you were in a movie theater and maybe people laughed at it, but I think if you just watch that, all those line deliveries by Simon Pegg Gold, they are unrealistic and unfunny. When he runs through the office, that is unrealistic, unfunny, and it is not the way people would react. Like the action is majority straight line running. There's 2 actual stunts in the whole thing, and if the stakes were so high that he had to catch this guy, it resolves with him not catching the guy. You get bad comedy, bad action, bad resolution. Vanilla Sky is an encapsulation of the entire film. Yes, is it the high point of the film? I concede that point. It's the high point of the film. It's iconic. When you think of Vanilla Sky, in fact, when you think of Tom Cruise running, if you did a montage of Tom Cruise running, the Vanilla Sky run would be the majority of that run. It is such an iconic run. Flawless. Mission Impossible, full of holes.
All right, I'm back, by the way. Austin, we're going to go to you for your 60-second closing. Time starts when you start talking.
Again, I'll remind everybody what the question was. The question was, what is the best Tom Cruise run? And the best Tom Cruise run is Mission Impossible Fallout, because it is an extended sequence that showcases his ability to fucking run, which is what he does. He runs full speed, full sprint for 6 to 7 minutes. He's doing all of his own stunt work in it. He says fake parkour. Meanwhile, it's a stunt that actually broke his ankle. So I don't see how it's fake. Every movie is fake, by the way. The movies aren't real, John. But yeah, there's real stakes in my movie. There's real things that happen. There's real stakes of him catching up to Walker. It shows what an athlete and what a specimen that both Ethan Hunt and Tom Cruise are, catching up, making up a half-mile distance in a few mere moments, essentially. And the stuff with Simon Pegg does showcase his comedy and sort of, again, layering that sequence, layering with the comedy. The stuff with Vanilla Sky, again, the running in your scene isn't even necessary. It would be much more impactful if he just wandered around Manhattan for a few minutes and actually took in the visual of it. It happens so fast. He wakes up immediately after. There's almost no stakes. And when you find out the whole thing's a dream, you completely forget about it and you blow it off. That's when nobody talks about Vanilla Sky in that sequence.
And time. All right, gentlemen, a great argument for both of you on why you guys had the best Tom Cruise run as your choice. I'm going to bring the judges back in. There we go. And not a lot to fact check there. There was one that Vanilla Sky is not an action movie, and you're right, it's not an action movie. It's like a sci-fi romance thriller movie. I don't know. But it's not an action movie, so yeah, take that for what it's worth. Jacob, we're going to go to you first. Who gets your point this round and why?
Oh man, like again, this is another good debate, as it has been all match. I think I'm gonna go John this time. I think John just did a really good job of, and Austin retorted perfectly well too. But I just heard more tearing down of Austin's pick and not enough of why the Vanilla Sky run wasn't good. It was just the same couple points over and over on Vanilla Sky, and so yeah, John gets my vote this time.
All right, Belt Boy, we're gonna go to you next. Who gets your point this round and why?
So I agree on one point of that John knocked Pez's run a lot, but I really didn't hear enough for why his run is good, other than the fact it's technically the best part of the movie, but that didn't really, supplement why the run itself is great. And Pez did a great job of showcasing the athletic ability of Tom Cruise / Ethan Hunt, the practicality of the stunt if he broke his ankle. John tried to retort and be like, oh, well, that's not the character, but it's part of the actual run itself. So that worked for me, and I didn't really get enough knocks of the stuff for the run, except for some subjective stuff. Well, the comedy doesn't work, blah blah blah. But the run itself, he wasn't able to knock that. So I'm going with Pez on this one.
All right, so that ties it up. Noah, you're the one to break the tie this round. Who gets your point on question 4?
In general, I feel like the argumentative style and the way they tried to argue this question in particular is very similar to that first question that was asked, where it's asking about a specific thing like a kill or a run, and these gentlemen had to take it farther than that. And I'm going to go with the same answer as I did the other one. I'm going to say John on this one because he brings a lot more into it and explains why the run is important and what it symbolizes or and everything like that. And yeah, he didn't talk a lot about Vanilla Sky as much as he did Mission Impossible and the run and all that, but I think he was really able to knock down Fallout a lot with the fact that there's a whole lot of points, but the main one is that this run amounted to nothing, pretty much. It like they argued back and forth about whether he let him get away or he got away or he caught him or whatever. But his argument that the scene amounted to nothing, the run itself amounted to nothing, really kind of won me over, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm going with John on this one as well.
All right. So thank you, gentlemen. That means that this round does go to John, so I'm going to send you guys to the back. And your winner, by way of winning 3-1, is John. John, congratulations, sir. Coming out of this with a win on your belt now, that brings you to 2-0 with the one knockout. I gotta say, man, this one was neck and neck. How are you feeling coming out of it?
I mean, I'm still waiting for my ass to get kicked, which did not happen. And unfortunately for Richie Goodacre, I still beat you, and I beat your hitman too. So whatever you're going to send from New Zealand next after me, I'll beat them too.
Wow, I'm loving this. All right, so you are 2-0. So that does put you in the locked in for the tournament that will happen towards the end of the year. Don't have to say yes now, but is that something you're looking forward to and kind of seeing how you rank with some of the more higher ranked competitors?
I think so. Like I said to Aaron at the last match, like I have like a huge debate background. Like I debated all through high school. So I have a lot of there's a lot of weight on my shoulders that nobody sees. Like I'm a state debate champion. So I take it personally every time somebody votes against me. So I'll remember that. I'll remember that stuff. And I'll just come back better next time with better points. I'm always going to talk fast. I'm always going to talk loud. And most of the time I'm going to win. So I can't wait to come back.
You know what? I'm loving the confidence. You do have a long way to go though. 2-0. And we did have the champ in the room. And a few people who've gone for that belt in the room as well with you. So
champ needs longer pants.
He does, but
yeah, champ needs longer pants.
As long as the pants are below the camera, I don't mind.
Yeah.
But no, again, congratulations on the match, man. Really good job.
Thank you,
and again, great win. And we do have to talk to the unfortunate loser of the evening, Austin. Man, I gotta tell you. Some of the arguments you brought up this match were astounding to me. If I was a judge, I might have given you some of the points that you didn't get. But how are you feeling coming out of this?
No, that's the unfortunate thing is sometimes the score of like a 3-1 doesn't really reflect how close the match actually is unless you actually watch it, because a lot of those votes were split throughout the whole thing. And I don't think, unfortunately, my actual record reflects how strong of a competitor I am, and I'm not propping myself up. Anybody who has judged my matches, who have watched my matches, has seen how much I can bring it. And like I've said before, I play every match like it's going to be like some titles online, even if it's not. And I'd like to think again that I bring out the best in all the competitors that I play. I raise their blood pressure, I get them going, I get them riled up, and I make them earn every single point. You don't get an easy win when you face me because I'm going to bring it. And no, that's fine. Like I don't mind losing to a competitor if they brought it as well. If they bring their knowledge, if they bring their debate skills, if they lay it on the line, and we have a great entertaining match, which hopefully this one was based on what the judges said in the green room. Based on what everybody was saying in between the little points that you may not see when this video gets edited. But I'd like to think I bring out the best of the competitors and bring literally the most entertaining matches on the battleground. And yeah, I will put myself over for that. I think I entertain the shit out of everybody that watches my matches.
I will say, just to comment on that, my blood pressure definitely went up, and I was just hosting.
Right.
There's not even that much
That's
pressure on me, and I was like, damn, this is getting intense. Mm-hmm. And you're right, man. Like your record, it doesn't really show how good of a competitor you are. Because different set of judges Just one small point is going to affect.
Well, and again,
right?
I think I've played people that have moved on, like Chadwick Webb made it to the semifinals. I played Henry Confidential, who went on to win the title. You know, I play people who I think go on to be, you know, some of the highest contender, you know, people in this league. And I think John Maher will be a top contender in this league. So, you know, if I can give him a challenge and get him ready for that too, that's cool. And you know, I pride myself on playing top competitors and playing people to their fullest. So, you know, but I had fun, man. Those were some fun ass questions and some different questions. It wasn't just like best worst this, whatever. Like I got to, I mean, come on, I got to play with my action figures while I argued a point, and that made it worth it.
You know what? That's probably. I'm gonna go on the record and say that's probably a first in Movie Battleground history.
Yeah, right. Visual aids.
Even in this reboot that we've had, it's probably the first time that we've had someone.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So that brought a smile to my face, and I hope it brought a smile to the people watching.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
All right.
I will say, so because you are now 2-3, so it's most likely that you won't be playing in the tournament that I was mentioning earlier, but you will be getting another match soon. Speaking of another match, is there anybody in our little community here that you want to face off against and try and get that next win against?
Madi, you want to go? Let's go.
Fuck it, I'm down, man.
Let's do it, man.
Questions, I'm down. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. But tell the person who's going to write the questions for that one, they better be as fun as these questions. That's all I have.
That's you know what? I'm going to give myself some credit.
I don't know what your record is off the top of your head. You'll have to remind me.
It depends on who you ask.
Right. Okay.
I have no
officially.
Officially, who knows?
Okay. Hey, man. We should go, man. You're a hell of a competitor. Let's go, man. Let's jump in this ring and do it.
You know what, Aaron? Book it in. If it's a possibility, we'll try and get me and Austin going at some point during this calendar year. But thank you again, Austin. Congratulations on a really well-played match. Unfortunate loss, but, man, you brought everything, and I love to see it. All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Movie Battleground today. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad that I was able to write all the questions and host this match against these two great competitors. I had a lot of fun hosting. I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun watching this. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. New videos are coming out all the time. There is the summer tournament or whatever it's called coming up that Aaron will be producing and I'm participating in. So you guys will see more of my ugly mug in the near future. But until then, thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time on the Battleground. Take care.